Hello, everyone. This is ITX. I'm the founder of the subreddit r/vintage mobile phones. And today I want to present you something very odd and probably the reason why I got into collecting Nokia phones in the first place. And first, a little backstory. This is the Nokia 5510. This very model was the one that I had been using as a kid when I was about 12 years old, 13, maybe 14, I don't know exactly. But as many of you know, it was my favorite phone of all time. And the main reason probably, being the full QWERTY keyboard, or the German layout is called QWERTZ with the Z. I love this phone. I got it in on Christmas Eve 2002, and I absolutely adored it. It was my favorite phone. I've been using it for so long. When everybody was having a color displays, I was still running around with this thing, and I was the proudest kid in the world. So, okay, we have the Nokia 5510. It came with a full QWERTY keyboard, but also with a few other very unique things. For example, it was Nokia's first mobile phone to feature a fully fledged MP3 player. If you press this button here, and if you had headphones connected, I don't have, but then the music player would open up and you could store not many songs. It was about 64 megabyte of storage, but it was enough for maybe, I don't know, a CD album or something. And as I said, it was the first phone to do that from Nokia. Here's the music list. Lots of hands up dance, Euro dance. Okay, but this was one of the main features apart from the obvious QWERTY keyboard. Then, of course, there was a radio, and what was kind of unique, even for MP3 phones that came afterwards, was the fact that you could not only store pre MP3 songs directly on the phone, but you could also record via an aux cable directly from, let's say, a stereo or a TV or something. And this was really unique, and not many phones had that. And if you plugged in the aux cord here and plug it into, as I said, a stereo, a TV, then you could record basically anything without having to fiddle around with the computer. And the software that came with it, the Nokia Audio Manager, it was really buggy. It had major issues, and so I, as a kid, preferred to do it via the aux cable. It was the much more easier and also more common thing to do back then. So okay, it was the Nokia 5510. It was a huge success, but then after I think 2-3 years, it started to become really outdated. I mean, the tiny display, the standard green colored monochromatic display. You couldn't even listen to the songs via the speaker. You could only play the songs if you connected the headphones. Everything became outdated by that point. So in 2003, Nokia introduced another sideways phone, as I'd like to call it, and it's the Nokia 3300. And maybe you also know this. It was not doing quite well. I think people made fun of it. The press made fun of it as the loaf of bread, it was called. And they mocked the form factor. After all, it really looks like a slice of bread. And it's not really that beautiful. But it took a lot from the 5510 and improved it. For example, the 5510 didn't have real MP3 format. All the songs would rather be converted into a dedicated format. And This completely was gone here on the 3300. You had standard MP3s that you could send via Bluetooth or upload them via the proprietary cable directly onto the phone. You didn't have to convert them. Everything was better in terms of music. For example, you also had the dedicated record button here. So you could record with one press, either from the radio or as you connected the aux cable again, it is here. Then you could also record the songs directly via the press of the button from the feed you plugged it in. But there was one major difference, and I think it was I'd like to say that the nail on the coffin for the 3300, and it was the numeric keyboard. It only came with a numeric keyboard. It had a weird bezel around the display that didn't look quite good, in my opinion. And everything seems kind of odd. The thing is, compared to the really compact size of the keyboard, the phone itself is rather huge, and everything seems kind of oddly shaped. It really wasn't a huge success, and it failed. And Nokia did revive kind of the music phone thing with the Express Music phones, but they were completely different shaped and were shaped like normal phones, if you will. And the 3300 was a flop here in Europe. But I think Nokia did a really, really, really stupid thing here, and they missed out on a huge on a huge marketing success with the decision to release this very phone in Europe, because there's another 3300 that not many people know about and that I've been hunting for since 2004, so for over 16 years. And I finally managed to acquire it for a really large price. Let's not talk about the price. It doesn't matter. But I finally managed to get this phone, and it's really interesting. So in the US, there was an AT&T exclusive phone. It was also called the 3300, but the internal name, and also the name among collectors, is 3300B. And this is it. This is the 3300B. And you're probably wondering, wait a minute, that's the same phone? Yes, it's the same phone. Nokia introduced it as the same phone. They didn't even mention there was another phone in the US. It was the normal standard 3300 there. But as you can clearly see, the elephant in the room are the QWERTY keyboard. So Nokia took the QWERTY keyboard from the 5510 and decided to do sort of a hybrid between the 5510 and the 3300, and this thing came out. And I really think people have to remember it was the 3300. It was meant as a music phone, as a huge successor to the 5510 that was very popular here. Many people say it was not, but I can assure you it was very popular. So they had to come up with a successor that was equally as cool, but they decided to stuck with this standard weird form factor, and they really missed out on a huge opportunity, in my opinion. Because if they had released the 3300B in Europe, it would have blown off easily. It would have been a huge success. People would have gone crazy for it. And I really don't know why they did this. You have to remember, the 3300 was an improvement in 99% of every category. For example, it had a loudspeaker. Instead of having to plug in the headphones, you could listen to the music with the speakers. Let me demonstrate. Okay, this is Avicii, so I cannot play too much of it, but you could hear it. It has a standard loudspeaker. You could listen to music. This was a novelty back then. Not many phones could do it. could do it. Also, other phones only had polyphonic ringtones, the odd ringtones in the MIDI format. It sounded, they sounded cheesy. I don't know. Ringtones back then was a complicated story. But this phone was one of the first to introduce real tones. So instead of having to select a MIDI, a boring MIDI tone, you could select every song from your library and play it as your ringtone. There even was an ad back then. I remember there was a kid playing music very loud, and his father comes into the room and he says, "Turn down the music, son." And he says, "No, no, that's not music. My friend is calling me." And then he picks up the phone and he talks to his friend. It was it was huge, and they advertised it as that. So I really don't understand why they didn't choose the full QWERTY keyboard version to be internationally released, but instead took this weird abomination. And yeah, I really don't know. But apart from all that aside, it was Nokia's decision, and we should respect that. And after all, things didn't come too good for Nokia over the next few years, and they eventually went away, as we all know, came back sort of, but it's not the same. So okay, a lot of bad decisions that ultimately led to the end of Nokia, but I really think they should have released the 3300B in the whole world, and not only as an AT&T exclusive. It was such a missed opportunity. It was a really stupid decision. I'm sorry, but it's my opinion. Apart from the QWERTY keyboard, there's not a lot different when compared to the 3300, the normal one. One odd thing that I noticed is that since this was a US exclusive, it came with a slightly different translation into English. If we scroll through the menu, you can see here call log and here call register. That's British English, that's US English. And we scroll further. Let me check what else was different. Yes, here. This is a good one. Organizer with a Z, organizer with an S. Funny, isn't it? Those are just minor things. It's not important, but the thing is, as I said, AT&T exclusive. You couldn't even choose the carrier in US. You were stuck with choosing AT&T. I don't know exactly how popular they were back then. I think this was sort of a prepaid contract thing. I don't know. Of course, aimed at very young kids, and you have to remember, in the US, even the younger generation, they didn't use brick phones or odd shaped phones. The US people, they were a bit different than Europe. Europe was much more experimental, and European kids and youngsters had much more, I don't know, fantasy, and they could live with unusual, odd phone types. The US, not so much, as far as I can remember. They had a lot of phones. Flip phones were the go-to phone in the US for a long time, and mostly Samsung, Motorola, not really Nokia, not so much. It was not very popular. So, as I said, missed opportunities over missed opportunities. A phone that wasn't even a phone company that wasn't even that popular to begin with, releasing a unique phone, outstanding device. It could do everything. It was the jack of all trades, as you will. Releasing it in the US, but not only that, only with a specific carrier. It even has the branding on the backside. I really don't know about that. As a European, I never understand it. And back in the days, I remember when I first saw this phone, a picture of it, a low res picture somewhere on the internet in 2004. I thought to myself, wait, this can't be real. This is a 3300 with full QWERTY keyboard. Basically, what I always wished for as a kid. I had the 5510, and it was my favorite phone. It had a QWERTY keyboard, and it was not as bad as people put it today. Of course, the keys were tiny, the buttons were tiny. You couldn't. Sometimes you would press a different button or two at the same time, but all in all, it was a great keyboard. And to take all the good stuff that the 5510 had, further improve it, and then release it as a US only model. Come on, guys, this just doesn't seem right. So, okay, I'm starting to repeat myself. So I think we come to the conclusion here. The 3300B, really the phone I was looking out for the most and the longest, if you will. I finally got it. I got the 3300, the A or normal version, for many years now, and I personally loved it. Apart from the weird bezel around the display, but apart from that, I really liked the phone. And yeah, to finally have the AT&T model with the QWERTY keyboard, this is really an accomplishment, and I'm really happy that I finally got it. And yeah, it's typical Nokia. Weird, unusual marketing strategies, marketing decisions. That's what Nokia was, and that's what they always have been. They had a success for a long time, but nowadays Nokia is basically gone. And with phones like this, you could really see why. So that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed my first video. I was a bit nervous, and my English is not the best, as you can tell, but I tried my best, and I really hope you enjoyed it. So if you did, leave a thumbs up, maybe subscribe. I don't know if you like. There will be much more videos in the future, and we could only improve from here, I think. So thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day. Bye bye.